Where was I singing?
Yeah.
Well, I started in the first grade. Christmas program behind the microphone. And then Pake and Susie and I, my older brother and little sister, we had a singing McEntire trio.
Everyone remembers the dress, that daring red gown that sparked 37 newspaper headlines, but what no one knew was why Reba McEntire really wore it. Now, she's revealing everything: the family drama, battles with Nashville executives, and a painful secret she kept for decades. From standing up for gay rights to losing millions in a divorce, this is the story of how country music's good girl became its boldest rebel. Reba McEntire was born on March 28, 1955, in McAlester, Oklahoma, the third of 4 kids in a rodeo-famous family. Her father, a champion steer roper, won 3 world titles, but the family lived modestly in a small 3-room house with no indoor plumbing. Reba's mother, Jacqueline, dreamed of being a country star herself but gave it up for family, though she passed her love of music to her children. Long drives to rodeos became sing-alongs and the beginning of Reba's music journey. Life on their 7,000-acre ranch in Chockie, Oklahoma, was far from easy. By age 6, Reba was helping round up cattle. By 7, she was working from dawn to dusk. The family ran a timber business, a rock quarry, and later discovered natural gas on their land, which helped during tough times. In 9th grade, Reba and her siblings formed a group called the Singing McEntires and won their first talent show. Reba began singing the national anthem at rodeos, and one 1974 performance at the National Finals Rodeo changed her life. Red Steagall, a country singer in the audience, recognized her talent and offered to help launch her career in Nashville. In March 1975, Reba and her mother packed up and moved to Nashville with little money, relying on Steagall's connections. They stayed in small apartments and worked odd jobs, with Jacqueline offering unwavering support. After months of auditions and rejections, Reba finally signed with Mercury Records in November 1975. Her debut single in 1976 flopped, and subsequent releases didn't fare much better. Her first album peaked at number 88, and financial struggles persisted as she played clubs for $50 a night, often borrowing money just to stay afloat. Conflicts with Mercury arose when they pushed her toward a pop country sound that didn't match her traditional roots. By 1982, she felt disillusioned and even considered quitting. But everything changed in January 1983 with her song Can't Even Get the Blues, which became her first #1 hit, a victory she celebrated while stranded on a broken-down tour bus. In 1984, Reba left Mercury for MCA Records, a risky move that cost her money but gave her artistic control. Her first MCA album, My Kind of Country, returned to her roots and launched 2 #1 hits. From 1984 to 1987, she dominated country music, winning CMA Female Vocalist of the Year 4 times in a row. Her image evolved, too. She ditched the cowgirl look for a polished, glamorous style. Her 1986 hit Whoever's in New England blended traditional country with modern flair and became a blueprint for her sound. Her concerts grew more theatrical, complete with costume changes and dramatic staging. By 1987, Reba was more than a singer, she was an entertainer, starring in her first TV special Reba in Concert on HBO. But in 1991, tragedy struck. On March 16th, a plane carrying 7 of her band members and her tour manager crashed into Otay Mountain shortly after takeoff. Reba wasn't on board, she had stayed behind due to illness. The crash, caused by pilot error and poor planning, killed everyone on board. Devastated, Reba channeled her grief into music. 6 months later, she released For My Broken Heart, a tribute album that helped her and her fans heal. The album became her highest charting release to date and the first by a female country artist to go double platinum. Songs like If I Had Only Known expressed the raw pain of loss and connected deeply with listeners. Then came The Dress. On September 29, 1993, at the CMA Awards, Reba stunned the audience by stepping on stage in a red velvet gown with a neckline plunging to her navel, held together by sheer fabric and over 2,000 crystals. Designed by Sandy Speaker Borchetta, it blended modesty and boldness, a shocking departure from Reba's usual conservative style. As she performed Does He Love You with Linda Davis, cameras scrambled to avoid showing too much on live TV. The duet won Vocal Event of the Year, but The Dress stole the night. The next day, 37 newspapers featured headlines about it, from Reba's dress, a little red Corvette, to a racy mistake. Nashville's conservative music scene was stunned. Garth Brooks reportedly sat in the front row with his jaw dropped. Dolly Parton quipped, "Well, honey, she just out-dollared Dolly." Even Vince Gill's win for Entertainer of the Year was overshadowed. Reba received 854 letters just about the dress, some praising her, others slamming her. Radio stations held polls, and the Country Music Association had to address the backlash, balancing creative freedom with traditional values. The dress even made it onto Entertainment Tonight, dubbed the dress that launched 1,000 water cooler conversations. Before that night, Reba had been seen as country music's wholesome sweetheart. But in that moment, she became its most daring rebel, not just for the dress, but for the fearless woman wearing it. Reba McEntire was always seen as relatable, especially at award shows where she typically wore simple gowns or Western-style outfits, nothing flashy. So when she stepped out in a daring dress one night, it shocked many fans. Her longtime supporters were so upset that her fan club received 1,237 letters, with some expressing feelings of betrayal. A few even went so far as to destroy her albums. The incident became so big that women's magazines like Good Housekeeping wrote about it, calling the dress a symbol of changing times in country music. Without intending to, Reba became the face of a new debate about modesty in the industry. Her family also reacted strongly. Her mother, Jacqueline, known for her conservative values, and her sister Susie were in the audience that night. Jacqueline held Susie's arm tightly and whispered, "Oh, Susie." Backstage, the family gathered in Reba's dressing room where the tension was thick, but her father, Clark McIntyre, broke the silence with a joke. He looked at her dress and asked, "Reba, did you have that dress on backward?" Everyone burst out laughing. Later, Jacqueline pulled Reba aside, concerned about the example she was setting for young fans, saying, "Reba Nell, you've always been a role model. What are all those little girls who look up to you going to think?" They had a long, heartfelt conversation about fame and responsibility. Despite the initial shock, her family stood by her. Her brother, Paik, even joked later about wanting a similar dress for his wife at the next family event. Reba's sitcom Reba marked a turning point in her career. It premiered on October 5, 2001, though it was originally scheduled to air on September 14 but was delayed due to the 9/11 attacks. The delay gave writers time to tweak the script, helping the show resonate more with audiences during a difficult time. The show tackled bold themes for its era, centering on a woman whose husband leaves her for a pregnant dental hygienist while her teenage daughter also becomes pregnant. Some initially worried it might alienate traditional viewers, but Reba's charm and humor quickly won them over. The show became the WB's top Friday night hit, drawing 4 million viewers weekly in its first season. Even after moving to the CW in 2006, it maintained its popularity. By the time it ended on February 18, 2007, Reba had 125 episodes, and its finale drew a record 8.7 million viewers. Interestingly, Reba wasn't the producer's first choice to star in the series. They originally wanted Sally Field. When she declined, they renamed the lead character after Reba and gave her the role, banking on her fame as a country singer. While starring in Reba, she didn't put her music career on hold. Between 2001 and 2007, she released 4 albums, including Room to Breathe in 2003, which topped the country charts and sold 124,000 copies in its first week. She toured extensively, with the 2004 Room to Breathe tour earning over $40 million. She even starred on Broadway in Annie Get Your Gun in 2001 as Annie Oakley, receiving rave reviews. During this period, she also had 7 #1 hits, including Somebody, proving she was as strong in music as she was on television. The success of Reba opened new doors outside of music and acting. In 2005, she launched a clothing line with Dillard's, selling clothes, shoes, and home goods. The line made over $200 million in 10 years. Reba once joked that she used to think Levi's were the only designer brand. In 2016, she teamed up with Cracker Barrel to launch a Western-themed retail line, Rocking Hour by Reba, which sold out in weeks. Then in 2023, she opened Reba's Place, a restaurant and music venue in Oklahoma, which attracted over 500,000 visitors in its first year, cementing her status as not just an entertainer but also a savvy businesswoman. In 2011, Reba was inducted into the Country Music Hall of Fame, one of the greatest honors of her career. That same year, her song Turn on the Radio hit #1, making her one of only 3 artists to achieve that feat the same year they were inducted. At the ceremony, Dolly Parton welcomed her, joking that they both made careers out of pretending to be hillbillies but were proud of their roots. Reba gave a heartfelt speech, paying tribute to her late mother, Jacqueline, even wearing her mother's wedding ring for the occasion. Her induction recognized not just her music but her impact across entertainment, including her work on Reba. However, her time on the show wasn't without controversy. In 2005, rumors spread of a feud with co-star Melissa Peterman over screen time, which both denied. In 2006, there were claims she threatened to quit unless certain cast members were fired, though producers dismissed these rumors. The most dramatic moment came in 2004 when she walked off set after arguing with writers over her character's love life, costing the studio thousands. Still, most co-stars praised her professionalism. Steve Howey, who played Van, said she was always the first one on set. Reba married Charlie Battles, a former rodeo champion, on June 21, 1976, when she was just 21. At first, things seemed perfect, but as her career took off in the 80s, their relationship began to suffer. In 1984, she won her first major award as Female Vocalist of the Year, and in 1986, she was named Entertainer of the Year. That's when Charlie asked her to slow down, but Reba couldn't. She later admitted, "I guess I chose my career over my marriage." They divorced on November 11, 1987, just before her 32nd birthday. It was painful. She had grown close to Charlie's sons. Matters worsened when Charlie, involved in managing her career, took $400 from her purse. What hurt was the breach of trust. Around that time, she released The Last One to Know, whose title track felt deeply personal. Later, she found love again with her manager, Narvel Blackstock, a former steel guitarist in her band. They married on June 3, 1989, on a boat in Lake Tahoe. Together, they built Starstruck Entertainment to manage her career. Reba embraced Narvel's 3 children as her own. But their marriage ended in 2015 after 26 years. Reba didn't want the divorce, but Narvel did. He walked away with nearly half her fortune, around $47.5 million. She had to take control of her career alone for the first time. Rumors spread that Narvel had quickly moved on with a mutual friend. In the midst of all this, Reba became a mother. Her son, Shelby, was born on February 23, 1990, in Nashville. Determined to be present for him, she turned her tour bus into a nursery and brought him along. Shelby faced challenges like ADHD, but he worked hard and eventually became a professional race car driver, with Reba as his biggest supporter. Reba has never shied away from taking a stand, even when it cost her. In April 2015, she voiced support for same-sex marriage, saying, "I don't understand why people have a problem with it." This upset many conservative fans. Just 2 days later, a Facebook group called Boycott Reba McEntire appeared and gained over 50,000 followers in a week. Even Rush Limbaugh criticized her, calling her a sellout. She lost about 12% of her social media following. Still, she stood firm. On the day same-sex marriage was legalized nationwide, she posted a rainbow-colored logo on Instagram, which received 157,000 likes, but also many angry comments. Later that year, she invited a same-sex couple to propose on stage at her concert. While most cheered, around 200 people walked out. Despite the backlash, she made a difference. A 2018 survey showed 31% of country music fans said she helped them accept LGBTQ+ rights. She also inspired artists like Casey Musgraves and, in 2020, received an award recognizing her as an LGBTQ+ ally. She's also taken political stances. After the 9/11 attacks, she performed at a benefit concert and urged unity, which some took as unpatriotic since she didn't mention military action. In 2003, she criticized President Bush's decision to invade Iraq, leading some radio stations to stop playing her music and an 18% drop in album sales. In 2017, she turned down a $2 million offer to perform at President Trump's inauguration, saying she didn't mix politics and music. Then in 2020, she voiced support for the Black Lives Matter movement, writing, "I stand with my black brothers and sisters." This prompted over 500,000 people to unfollow her on Instagram. Despite losing fans, her album Stronger Than the Truth became her highest charting release in over a decade. Reba has also fought against sexism and ageism in the country music industry. In 2010, at age 54, she became the first woman over 50 to debut an album at #1 on the country charts. In 2015, she criticized country radio for ignoring older female artists, saying she wanted to hear voices like Trisha Yearwood and Martina McBride. Her comments sparked a major conversation, leading the Country Music Association to start a program supporting women in the industry, with Reba as its first mentor in 2018. She also called out the all-male nominee lineup for CMA's Entertainer of the Year award, joking, "What's wrong with this picture?" Her remark earned a standing ovation and went viral. Over the years, she's had her share of feuds. In the 90s, she criticized Garth Brooks for using flashy effects in his shows, preferring a focus on music. When he won an award over her, cameras caught her rolling her eyes, sparking headlines. In 2008, she upset Dolly Parton by covering 9 to 5 without permission. In 2015, when a radio consultant made a sexist comment comparing women in country music to tomatoes in a salad, Reba called him out publicly, leading to real industry changes.